Good afternoon, it's Lee Cassidy from Tactile Technology, and we're doing some series of lunch and learns about Remedio. So it's a technology and an organization you might not yet be familiar with, but we want you to know a lot more about it. So each week on a Wednesday at 1 p.m., we're actually going through a learning exercise one about people. Last week we had Jamie, who's the UK and Ireland sales director, and this week we've got Mor, who's the product and alliances VP for Remedio. So let's get Mor in. Hello, how are you, Mor?
Hello, everyone. Hey, Lee. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And so, one thing I'd like to start with is tell us a little bit about you yourself. So, a little bit about your history before we talk about your career, just a little bit about you as an individual.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Mor Bikovsky. I'm the VP of Product and Alliances here at Remedio, almost 2 years now. Before that, I was 6 years at Clarity in the CPS cyber physical system world, OT. Worked a lot with customers, understanding the gap, the needs. And back then, it really was an emerging technology where the OT and all the physical systems that need to be protected and see how it evolves and really how good security tools can help mitigate so many risks. And maybe I was passionate about it because before that, before my 6 years at Clarity, which I again was mainly with customers, I was 7 years in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, for the for the intelligence unit, which I did several different positions. But one of them also was a developer. It's a fun fact, not everyone knows this about me. Also did my computer science degree. Understood I'm not going to write code again in my life. I rather speak with
I think a lot of us
customers
have
that.
been there. We've done a bit of code in the past, but like my skills in Coral and Fortran will not be useful for anyone these days. So it's just one of those things. But I think having a background in coding helps you understand the challenges of development of products and how things move forward.
Correct. It's also the internal understanding of how to develop what are the needs, how we're going to do it in scale and so many different aspects. But also it gives you a different way of thinking in general. As you know, computer science is not about learn how to code, but learn how to think as an engineer and how to see complex problems and how to get to a resolution. And I believe that this is also what helps me see the market, the problem, the ecosystem, and um, create solutions or collaborations to help mitigate different issues that we see with our customers.
So you've been at Remedio 2 years now. So why did you join Remedio? What excited you about the organization to take the role?
I hope it's not a cliche, but when I heard about Remedio, by the way, back then when I joined, the name is Gitpol, was Gitpol, and maybe a sentence about that. Gitpol or Remedio today was bootstrapped 6 years, over 300 customers from the top logos in the industry globally: Amazon, Coca-Cola, Kraft Heinz, Carlsberg, InBev, and many others. And we got into a decision about 2 months ago to take a capital around to really change the device posture management. And also part of that is changing the name from Gitpol to Remedio. So you might have heard already about Gitpol. But back to your question, Lee, when I heard about Remedio and about Tal, she is the CEO, formerly a hacker, by the way. I was very impressed of what she has had done until that point, and I understood the potential, whether it's because my understanding a bit in the industry, but also I saw how customers are talking about the product and how Remedio is helping them solving that. And the second thing I just saw also how customers talk with prospects and really sharing their experience and the journey and how it helped them to achieve their security roadmap. So when asking me why did I join Remedio, my answer is that I saw this diamond in the rough, and I
Uh,
loved it.
so you gave us a couple of big names there that are using Remedio. Why would you say the key reason why they utilize Remedio today?
Great question, and I think it divides to different reasoning. So, first of all, every organization has this critical issue of misconfigurations or dealing with device posture management as part of their strategy and part of the risk reduction plan. So this is easy. We just have a solution that everyone needs. The second thing is with our team, and everyone was handpicked also, especially in engineering, is people that already either been in the hacking side of the world and leveraging those exploits, or the ones that already changed their hats to white hat and really solved and build defensive tools to disable those hackers get into the environment. So the understanding of both sides and a great understanding of the market really helps us get into the organization and have a clear messaging about our value proposition. Everything that we find, we fix. And I think this is also very refreshing in today's industry where you have so many visibility tools. Everyone is showing you what is wrong, where you vulnerable or can be exploited, but there's few to none solutions that really helps you do a one-click remediation to reduce the risk and understand exactly what's going to be the impact. What are the dependency mapping and what's going to be the influence if I decide to do this remediation? And getting everything, the experience, the product, and the need all together in one place made Remedio very attractive to those organizations. And whether it's a Fortune 2 that's only built their own tools and decided to implement Remedio, or you can see in manufacturing, healthcare, financial services, everyone have their blind spots that Remedio helps mitigate immediately.
I'm going to say, coming back to some of your early statements there. So, you were in the IDF, I was in the Royal Air Force. So, we've got that similar military background. And when you're looking at defending something, you always look at it with an offensive perspective. Because you see, if I was going to defend that place, how would I attack it? Because having the understanding how you would attack it helps you understand how you defend it. And I think that's quite different with Remedio. You are looking at it from both an offensive and a defensive posture. So it helps you understand how to protect an organization better. Because again, you're using that hacker perspective of how would we have infiltrated this organization in the first place. So these are the risks points that we would have gone against. These are the misconfigurations we would have leveraged to get in there. But how can we then remediate against those? And I think it's key what you said about that one button click to remediate, but also to understand how operationally it's going to affect the systems as well. Because that's the other thing is, these observation tools you mentioned before will tell you all these problems. A lot of times they don't tell you how to remediate against them. And again, they don't tell you what those relationships are between those particular issues and your operational systems, that you don't really want to do something that's going to impact the business in that way. So, I think that's a couple of critical things that are different about Remedio in this. I think you mentioned Tar, but also yourself, and there are a number of other, strong female leaders within the organisation. How do you think that makes Remedio different, and how do you think it helps Remedio?
I think that it wasn't done by purpose, in terms of, everyone that comes to Remedio is handpicked with their skills, and it happens to be there are so many talented women in general, but also in tech and specifically in cyber. And it's not very common to see them in most of the organization. And as having a founder and a woman CEO, that one of her passions is really helping other women get the barriers that society just puts, and being leading positions. It's part of our DNA, and it's part of what we want to send out to other women and also children, whether it's boys or girls, that everyone can do and achieve whatever they want. It's all about skills, talent, and hard work. And as you mentioned, yes, it happens to be that we have a significant amount of women in leadership, significant amount of women across the different disciplines. So R&D and customer success, um, and G&A, of course. And we truly believe that it's a statement. And you can see lately our Forbes publication and how a woman can be still fierce,
Yeah.
successful, but have this unique advantage that women have, whether it's the communication, the way to approach things, and how to resolve complicated situations. So I think that having women around in general is a benefit.
I think communication is a key thing because a lot of female senior execs and do think differently in the way they communicate. And I think they're more effective in that way as well in some cases. But again, it's reflecting society, isn't it? We need to be like society, and if you look at the working people, there is a good 50-50 mix in most cases between male and female. Organizations should look like that, shouldn't they? And it shouldn't be all male at the top and no one actually representing society in that way. But I think that's key. But again, sometimes we don't do it by choice. It's by by design. It just happens because they're the right people. Because that's the other thing is some people try and force that into organisations just to try and get that diversity inclusion piece. But in reality, it's the right people should be doing those jobs as well. And if those right
Correct.
people also fit that diversity inclusion model, even better, isn't it? So you get the benefits both ways. So what would you say are the key things that people should know about Remedio that they may not know about to date? Because like we said before, they may have heard of Gitpol, they may have seen some of the recent announcements about the renaming to Remedio. Some great customers, and I'm sure not many people know about these, great organisations like Amazon and Coca-Cola and other people that are utilizing the technologies. What would you say that the key things, maybe top 2 or 3 things that people should know that they may not know about so far?
Sure. So as mentioned, we just did the rebranding, and it was part of a big capital round, a big investment round that we took, which, by the way, it was the biggest first round in cyber, $65 million, that we're going to invest all of this in device posture management. So Remedio is doing device misconfigurations, compliance hardening, but we want to enable our customers, especially in the world of consolidation of tools, consolidation of agents, sensors, etc., to have all proactive and preemptive actions within Remedio. So we will announce, and let me keep some things to myself, but we are going to change all the vulnerability assessment world and get things like application control and other exciting things really change. Remember, what we find, we fix in a safe remediation. The second thing that you were talking a bit about are value proposition, but well, today there's many tools that helps protecting against a specific threat in a specific threat vector or landscape getting into the environment. Not only that Remedio is closing those gaps so attackers can exploit and get into the environment, but also once they're in, and most of the tools, that's where they're not effective anymore, Remedio helps also in lateral movements, whether it's legacy protocols, whether it's admins and other user management related things as well. We have our ability to stop also the lateral movement, which I believe is very important.
I
but
think
less.
so as well. Very, very important, that, and that's one of the biggest challenges. Once they've got into the system, it's actually stopping them moving around. I know people have started using microsegmentation tools to try and create effectively mini firewalls between systems, so that lateral movement is much more difficult to do. But if you can take away all those vulnerabilities that allow people to laterally move, there's no option for them anyway.
Correct. And maybe the last thing that I would say, and of course we would love to elaborate later on more things, but is our understanding on the ecosystem. And it's not only by me being an engineer, but this is the way we think. We want to bring as much value to our customers. Again, we were bootstrap customer is also always in front, but understanding how we connect to the different projects or the different security roadmap, such as segmentation, achieve zero trust architecture, with the ADR and many other things, our integration and connection to the other vendor and solution serving as their not only visibility enrichment, because we have a lot of data on the devices, but also as their remediation arm. Imagine that you see those legacy protocols that you need to close. So not only doing that on the firewall level, do it on the device level. Connection to network softwares, which we help to tune the different rules that maybe are legacy and not applicable, to tune it, to enforce some that we don't have the visibility that are being enforced, how to create more proactive actions in order to reduce the attack surface and really increase the resilience. So this is something that will work in all the industries, whether it's the OT and cyber physical systems with the leading companies, whether it's on the EDR, XDR space, network segmentations, asset visibility tools, and many others.
Yeah, and say I was looking at some things the other day, and a lot of times we assume things work. So if people are using group policy to push out, say, fixes to the complexity of passwords. Is it always going out there? Is it always being applied? And at least what you can do is map against what the GPO policy is and which of the machines are actually adhering to that policy and which aren't. But also identifying why certain machines aren't having that GPO applied to them. So there's some really interesting things that you're doing with the product that are quite different to some of the other tools that are out there. Like you say, having visibility is one thing, but having the ability to be able to quickly remediate, but understand, if it's going to cause any issues with the current operating environment, is a much stronger, position to be in, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
You described it better than I could.
Thank you very much. I'm still learning. I will get there. But we're coming up to the end of our time. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers, either live or recorded in the future, that you don't think we haven't told them so far today?
I think that we covered the highlights. Of course, there's so much more functionality that we have, like the GPO, like Intune policies, custom CAS, a lot of exciting things that we bring. And the only thing that I would say is that one of the most important things in life is also time.
Yeah.
And what Remedio is doing is also helping you automate all those manual efforts. And not only the automation part, but really the prioritization. Um, so yeah, take a look, come, just visit our website, drop a note, talk with Lee. We would be happy to explore more, but yeah, device posture management world is about to change, and we hope
Yeah.
you'll be part of the journey.
Thank you very much for that. And say, just coming back onto your, the CIS customization. So for the UK, a lot of people are using Cyber Essentials, so you
We
can map
have this as well.
directly. against Cyber Essentials to tell people the areas that they think they've covered, but they may not have quite covered, and also the ability to go and fix those issues quite quickly as well, and which machines are the ones that aren't meeting the requirements for Cyber Essentials. So there's some really quick wins in the technology to do that. But thank you very much for your time today. It's been great to see you again. We've spoken a couple of times recently to understand a bit more. We're going to move into other areas over the next couple of weeks. We've got your head of marketing next week. Following on from that, we're going to also have your chief technology officer, Matt Rowe, about I think it's on the 12th of November. So we're working our way through introducing different people to the organization, but also different aspects of what Remedio is about, but also that strong history of defense and offensive cybersecurity. So again, join us next week, same time. We'll be working with the VP of Marketing next week, and the following week will be Matt Rowe, who's the Chief Technology Officer. So please join us for that. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
And see you all again soon. And if you would like to stay on more afterwards, and we'll have a brief chat when we've shut down the presentation.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.